Hello everyone, bringing you a more in-depth video today on an item which was amongst the big lot which I made a video looking at earlier in the year. This is the lot of stuff that my friend Alan brought up with him when he came to stay for Christmas. And what we're looking at today is a pair of Indian-made jungle green basic pouches. Now these are part of the 1937 pattern web equipment, but this is a late war development of 1937 pattern that was sort of India's answer to the 1944 pattern web equipment. It's 1937 pattern dyed green with subdued fittings. And as I say, it does seem to have been India's answer to the improved jungle equipment, the 1944 pattern, which was obviously intended for the continuing war in the Far East, which didn't transpire due to the dropping of the 2 atomic bombs and Japan's surrender. So without further ado, we'll get into the main part of the video now and have a look at these two pouches. So I have to say these two are in very nice condition. You can see this rather greyish green colour that these are produced in, and the different components, the different sections these are made up from do vary in colour somewhat. You can see the underside of the flap here is close to this colour, and obviously typical of Indian manufacturing is you see differences in colour of webbing on khaki webbing as well as on this jungle green stuff. So this is essentially these are a component of India's answer to the British 1944 pattern web equipment, a set of equipment designed for the continuing war in the Far East. It's not clear that these ever actually saw use out in the Far East prior to this cessation of hostilities, prior to VJ Day. It's not clear at all that these were actually issued out, but they were almost certainly used post-war in the Indian Army. The Indian Army continued to use 1937 pattern right the way through into the 1970s, and I believe into the early 80s as well. Second line force and so forth using it at that point. It was had a very long service life with Indian forces. There were huge stocks of it, and there was no reason to change to anything else. It was compatible with the FAL, which was introduced at India's version of the FAL, and obviously with the Lee Enfield derived rifles, which were also in service for a very long time. Features of the design here, we'll first look at the markings under the flap here, and you can see they're KEF, and just about see 1945 there, I hope. The stamp is a little bit smudged. I think this one, if I remember correctly, yeah, the 5 is over on the same manufacturer, but the 5 is just over onto the ballistite loops in the lid here. An interesting feature of Indian manufacture is these loops here, which are intended to carry ballistite blanks for firing rifle grenades from the rifle. They were deleted very early on from British manufactured pouches. I believe Canada stuck with them for quite a time, and India did as well. In fact, all the way through production, India continued to include these as part of the basic pouches, the 1937 pattern design. These are essentially made to Indian Mark II standard, which doesn't conform to British Mark. The Indian pouches don't conform to British Mark 1, 2, 3, etc. You have basically the Indian Mark 1s and then the Mark 2s, which use this feature on the bottom, which is large eyelets for drainage, and this is something which is seen on later production khaki 1937 pattern pouches which came out of India. They introduced these 3 large eyelets across the bottom to assist with drainage. So both of the pouches have those. Another feature other than colour which differentiates them from the khaki pouches is the use of the quick release. I've not seen any khaki Indian made pouches using a quick release. There may be some out there. I'd be interested to see if anyone has any, but that's a feature of these jungle green pouches, is the changeover to the quick release design of fastening, which had obviously been introduced onto British Mark IIIs before the end of the war, and you can see it operates in exactly the same manner. It's entirely a copy of the British method of doing this, with the metal loop here, a little staple on the front of the pouch there that it passes over, and then a webbing quick release tab there. So the fixtures and fittings slightly updated in that regard as well, obviously using the most up-to-date method of closing these with the quick release fastening on the front. If we turn them over, have a look at the back in a little bit more detail. Obviously we'd already turned them over before. These are mounted higher on the belt, Indian Mark IIs, although there is actually, we line them up here, they're not too bad. You often see these even within Indian marks of pouch, if you can give them a mark designation. These clips on the back, the C-hooks, do vary exactly where they're mounted. You can see the fixture and fittings here are standard 1937 pattern fair. We have the C-hooks to clip this onto the belt, and then the buckle at the top here, which serves to attach these onto the braces of the equipment, and also this top loop here obviously allows the L-straps, the supporting straps of the pack or haversack, to be hooked into the top there and secure it to the equipment. You'll also notice that other than the eyelets along the bottom, all the metal fixtures are blackened for concealment purposes. So they are brass, but they are of a blackened finish. You can actually see the wear here where the brass is showing through, but they are blackened. Again, something which is seen on the 1944 pattern equipment. The fixtures and fittings were of a subdued finish,
and that's something that we see with this as well, this Indian made 1937 pattern. I have covered some of the other parts of this previously in a video uploaded quite a while ago now, so I might make an updated video at some point going forward looking at the set put together, because I do have a belt, set of braces and some other bits and pieces. So it's quite an interesting set of equipment. As I say, it appears to be India's answer to the 1944 pattern web equipment.
So I hope it's been of interest looking at these. As said in the video, I do plan to make a video at some point looking at the set in more detail as a whole. I'd have previously made a video looking at that, but that's probably in need of an update at this point, and obviously with these being added to the set, that'll be a rather nice thing to do, hopefully, and bring it all together and talk a bit more about it as a whole. Well, I don't have a complete set, but the components I do have talk about it more as a set of equipment. Hopefully that will be of interest. If you'd like to see that, and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the little notification button down below. That will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And as ever, a massive thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say. Thank you all very much indeed. If you'd like to follow the channel on social media, you can. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down below. And if you'd like to get in touch but you don't really use social media, there is of course an email address down below as well. That's everything for this video, so until next time, bye for now.